Our objective is to have a very, very robust PFS that will encourage strategic investors, to very seriously look at coming in as our partners.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Cleantech Lithium Executive Chairman and Interim CEO, Dr. Steve Kesler. Steve, thanks for speaking with us today. You're out with an operational update on Laguna Verde. How have you progressed with the PFS?
Yeah, hi Stephen. Yeah, this is an ops update. Now, clearly, all our shareholders want to get regular feedback, but this is just to show that we're working full bore on many areas. In particular, the PFS. We're making very good progress on that. We identified to our shareholders earlier in the year that we're making a change to the configuration of the project rather than having everything up at the Salar. We split the plant in two. We're doing the DLE and the concentration up at the project site at Laguna Verde, but then transporting the concentrated eluate down to the conversion plant, which will be at Copiapó. There's a couple of reasons. Having more of the work done at lower altitude, there's very much stronger technical support at Copiapó rather than having everything done at site. And it also allows us to use the same conversion plant to expand for our next project, Viento Andino, which will come along shortly after Laguna Verde. And in doing that split, that's required changes to the engineering and the infrastructure requirements. We've completed all that process engineering with our technology provider, Lanshan. They provided everything now to Worley. But the reality is that that has delayed the process a bit. So rather than completing at the end of the year, we're just letting people know it will go into the first quarter next year. But the aim is to deliver a stronger, more robust PFS and have the project set up to clearly go quickly into the DFS. And in doing the PFS, we've been looking at a number of other issues. For power supply, we said that we can put a transmission line in and connect into the national grid and buy renewable energy. That's still the baseline. But what we've also shown is a very interesting chart that this area around Laguna Verde is the highest irradiance zone in the world. It's absolutely perfect for solar energy. So what we have been considering, and we've employed consultants to look at that with us, is the potential to have self-generated renewable energy rather than connecting into the grid. And the work they've done is to show that, yes, using solar connected with battery energy storage, but in winter months, it gets a bit light in terms of the amount of sunlight there. But this is also a very steady wind area. And they've come up with the configuration that a combination of solar plus a few wind turbines and battery storage can supply all the energy we need self-generated at site. So what we're looking at is the comparison of CapEx and OpEx to do self-generation versus connecting into the grid. So it's good that we've got two alternatives that we will look at. We've also looked at the site for the conversion plant. We found it, which we think is the best site outside of Copiapó. It's on the direct highway down from Laguna Verde. It doesn't require any truck traffic to go through town. And the road also links to the port at Caldera. And that's the closest port. We think it's going to be the best for us for the export of our lithium carbonate. So that's work has been ongoing. Now, to transport up and down between the project site, Laguna Verde, and Copiapó. In Chile, it's conventional to use diesel trucks. We've been very strong in saying that we want to be committed to carbon neutrality and to minimize our carbon footprint. And it's all very well doing that at site. But if we use diesel trucks, that's carbon intensive. But the world has been changing very rapidly in the last couple of years. There's more and more electric trucks coming onto the market, particularly out of China. We're showing some examples there, with many of these trucks having a much longer range. And the advantage that we have, being at altitude at Laguna Verde and lower altitude at Copiapó, electric trucks regenerate energy, when they drive down and brake, and they charge up the batteries, on the way down. So there is the potential to have self-charging trucks going up and down as well. So we think over the course of the next years, this is going to be a tremendous development and will lead to low carbon footprint on trucks and no tailpipe emissions and low noise level as well, which will be very, very exciting.
Steve, why is this level of engineering necessary for the PFS?
Well, I think when you do PFS, clearly you want to get the process engineering and the infrastructure done, and generally get to about 10% engineered, so you've got everything defined, and you minimize any potential changes in the DFS. So if you can get a well-engineered PFS, then the DFS will go along much faster. If you leave things open at the PFS, then you have to go back and do re-engineering in the DFS, and it slows it down at that stage. And clearly, we want to get the best possible information at the PFS level because we want to introduce the project to potential strategic investors, and they want to have good information on both the process design, the infrastructure requirements, the CapEx, OpEx requirements, and the better the information, then the more likely they will step into the project. So apart from the work on the PFS, we indicated that we had a drilling program in place last year. We had planned to do 5 holes. We got interrupted by the winter, which came early last year. We completed 2 holes, but we did the pumping tests, and all the information goes into the hydrogeological model that's being developed or has been developed by Montgomery, our hydrogeological consultants. We do want to go back when we raise more funds, post ASX or from other sources to complete those holes and increase the knowledge of the resource. But we need information from the PFS to be able to convert those resources into reserves. So certainly beginning of next year we will be able to do that. Montgomery are working on the model to design the well field, the number of extraction wells and their location to feed into the DLE plant, and then the location and design of the re-injection wells and where they should be located to ensure that we do not impact any surface water features at Laguna Verde, and all that will go into the PFS for its completion beginning of next year. So I think with the work from Montgomery and Lanshan and Worley, our objective is to have a very, very robust PFS that will encourage strategic investors to very seriously look at coming in as our partners. And I say we are already engaged. We have 7 or 8 under NDA. We are currently talking to a number of them very, very seriously that have been very encouraged with the government stating that our Laguna Verde project is one of the 6 salars to be prioritized in Chile. So we'll be looking at the path forward with government into getting that sale. We have our pilot plant, which has been operational in DLE. We've shipped the concentrated eluate to Chicago for the downstream conversion. All the equipment is up and running. We currently are processing our eluate in the plant in Chicago, and we will be making battery-grade lithium carbonate during the course of this month. And so we'll be very excited. We'll be showing photographs when we have the white powder pouring out of the end of that plant. Then we get it analyzed and demonstrate that it's battery grade. So more good news coming from that during the course of of November.
Well, we look forward to discussing that news as it comes out. Steve, thank you very much for the update today.
That's a pleasure, Stephen.
That's Cleantech Lithium Executive Chairman and Interim CEO, Dr. Steve Kesler.